The night was dark, but the village was not asleep. A loud scream tore through the air, waking people from their dreams. It came from the hut of Adisa, the young woman who had just married Obadele. People rushed to her hut, carrying lanterns, whispering among themselves. When they pushed open the door, they saw Adisa curled up in a corner, her face covered in tears. She was shaking, pointing towards Obadele, who stood silently in the middle of the room, his face expressionless. "What happened?" someone asked. Adisa looked up, her eyes wide with fear. "I can't do it," she whispered. "I can't be his wife." The murmurs grew louder. The elders were called, and soon, the entire village gathered. Adisa's father, Baba turned, stepped forward, his voice hard. "What is the meaning of this? You begged us to marry you to him. Now you say you can't?" "I didn't know," Adisa said, shaking her head. "I didn't know he was like this." Obadele remained silent, his fist clenched at his sides. The whispers turned into laughter, then into confusion. The village knew that Obadele was different, but no one ever spoke about it. He was the man with the biggest private part in the village, and this was both his blessing and his curse. The news spread fast. Some laughed, others pitied Adisa, and a few women exchanged knowing glances. The elders held a meeting under the big Iroko tree to decide what should be done. "She is his wife," Bobaton argued. "She must accept him." "But if she cannot," one of the elders countered. "Should we force her?" "Then she should return the bride price," Bobaton snapped. "She cannot take my daughter for a fool." Adisa's mother, Mama Folek, knelt before the elders, her voice breaking. "Please, my daughter cannot live like this. Let her go." Obadele finally spoke, his voice deep and measured. "I did not force her to marry me. If she wants to live, she can." The elders exchanged glances. They did not expect him to be so calm. Bobaton spat on the ground. "Then the bride price must be returned." Mama Folek began to weep. They had already spent the money. The tension grew, and arguments broke out among the families. The village had never seen such a case before. Was it a curse? Was Obadele meant to be alone forever? Days passed, and people stopped talking about Adisa. She had been sent back to her parents' home, and Obadele continued with his life. But he could feel the stares. The women whispered when he walked past, the men chuckled behind his back. He had never asked to be born this way. One day, an old woman, Aya Ajok, came to visit him. She was known for her wisdom and sharp tongue. She sat outside his hut, chewing on a stick of sugarcane. "Why do you look like a man carrying a heavy load?" she asked. Obadele sighed. "Because I am." She nodded. "Do you know what they say about you?" "I do." She leaned closer. "Do you know that some women are curious?" Obadele looked up, confused. She laughed. "You think all women are like Adisa? Some are afraid. Some are interested. Some," she paused, "would pay to see." Obadele frowned. "What are you saying?" Aya Ajok shrugged. "You have something rare. Some people in this world would call it a gift." A strange thought entered Obadele's mind. Could he turn his curse into something else? Meanwhile, Adisa's life was not going well. People mocked her for returning home. Her father resented her. Suitors stopped coming. The shame was heavy. One evening, she overheard a group of women talking near the river. "I heard he is going to the city," one of them whispered. Obadele. Yes. They say he found someone who wants him. A rich woman. Adisa's heart pounded. She had thought Obadele would live his life in loneliness. But now, it seemed like he had found another path. Regret clawed at her chest. Had she made a mistake? As she stood there, watching the water flow, she knew one thing: she was not done with Obadele. Not yet. Obadele sat outside his hut, staring at the horizon. He had made up his mind. The city held promises, possibilities, and maybe even answers to the questions he had never dared to ask. The journey would not be easy. He would have to leave behind the life he had always known. But something deep inside him told him that this was only the beginning of a bigger story. He packed his small belongings and made his way toward the city, guided by the flickering lanterns of traders heading to the market. The city was a mystery to him, but he knew he had no choice but to try. The city was alive. The streets were filled with traders shouting their wares, children running between market stalls, and women carrying heavy baskets on their heads. Obadele had never seen so many people in one place before. As he wandered through the streets, he felt the weight of curious eyes on him. He needed a place to stay, a way to earn money, but most of all, he needed to figure out what Aya Ajok had meant. A man approached him, his eyes sharp and knowing. "You are new here," he said. Obadele nodded. "I am looking for work." The man smiled. "There are many kinds of work in the city. Some jobs require strength, some require skill. And some," he paused, looking Obadele up and down, "require something special." Obadele's chest tightened. "What do you mean?" The man chuckled. "I know who you are. Word travels fast. If you are willing, I can introduce you to someone." Obadele hesitated. He did not trust this man, but something told him that this was the path Aya Ajok had hinted at. He took a deep breath. "Take me to them." As he followed the man through the winding streets of the city, he knew one thing: his life was about to change forever.